Good evening, welcome to Business Today. My name is Jerome Paul Songo with Winnie Buyinza Nakauchi on sign language, and this is your daily report. Let's get right onto it as we start with motorcyclist training launch in Uganda. As Uganda's Premier Robin Nabbanja has officially launched the motorcyclist training in Kira, designed to incorporate professionalism in their job. The training comprised of various features such as mastering the right interpretation of road signposts as a key tool in ensuring safety on the roads and a supporting factor for the growth and development of their occupation. Desire Namabiru reports.
The act is backed by the proposed border registration that kicked off earlier this month with an aim of regulating border operations in Kampala to enhance security. In order to ensure its reliability, the government has taken an initiative to equip the stakeholders with the necessary skills. This initiative has been launched by the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robin Nabbanja, in Kira.
Training them to reduce on the accidents. 50% of accidents in the country are because of border psychosis. In Kampala, it's 80%. You go to Mulago and see all those people who are struggling for life in Mulago. Most of them, when you ask them, you can go and take it and do a random sampling. Most of them are there because they got accidents out of border psychosis. And so we felt it wise to train our young people.
General Katumba Wamala, Minister for Transport and Works, has emphasized on reaching out to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to ensure the success of this initiative. Through this, the motorcyclists will be in position to access relevant information without exploitation.
The process of getting that changed, because it was passed in the Traffic and Road Safety Act, the process, you have to go to the Minister of Finance, and Minister of Finance has to bring this on the floor of Parliament to request for those fees to be allowed. So we are in that process, and we think it will be approved. We hope that the members of Parliament will understand that this it's in the interest of the border riders, but also in the interest of government, because this is non-tax revenue which government is missing.
Motorcyclists leader has applauded the government for this initiative on the proficiency of learning proper road sign interpretation skills, something that is lacking among the border riders.
It's very vital in border riders because most of the border riders, they don't know even a single signpost. When you see this yellow junction box, they just imagine or they put in mind that the president is going to stop there and greet some people. So we need to sensitize them and train them on these road signs.
At the time of departure, registration and training was ongoing following the proposed procedure as elaborated by the Prime Minister. Desire Nambiru, Smart 24 TV, driving business.
All right, away from that, now we talk tourism, as the former Butembe County legislator and now chairman of the Uganda Tourism Board, Daudi Migereko, says high interest rates on loans are affecting the tourism sector. Migereko says entities that had loans by the lockdown times had failed and since failed to pick up after it emerged interest kept accruing on those loans to unmanageable levels. Our senior business reporter, Pedison Mumbere, has the details.
Migereko, who has been at the helm of promoting both domestic and foreign tourism, says that the sector that has a huge potential to contribute to the GDP is choking. Increasingly, enterprises are defaulting on their credit and therefore closing down due to loans. Migereko was today speaking at the 5th Annual Uganda Bankers Conference 2022. He told bankers to simplify fact checks, saying that the bureaucracy is a disincentive to credit.
Credit. There are issues of bureaucracy. If I come to the bank, I want to get money, it takes too long. It takes too long. There is limited flexibility depending on what level you are operating at. There is unexplainable paperwork. There is over-securitization. And at times I don't want to discuss any assets I have with the banks, just like I don't want to discuss this with URA. Because when you go out to borrow, and they know you have this asset, that asset, they say, no, the lending will be easy. bring this title, bring that title. And all of a sudden you discover that they want to take everything away from you.
The importance of preparedness of our borrowers. Banks have laid out procedures for borrowing. So it's incumbent upon borrowers to have their paperwork and other governance requirements for that funding or lending before they can access the funding. UDB has just explained, for example, that they have basic expectations from borrowers that they expect you to present before you actually approach them for their funding. So interest rates, yes, interest rates will be charged. That's the basis upon which we are paid as bankers. But importantly, we need to emphasize the readiness of our borrowers to take up this funding.
The tourism industry in Uganda accounts for 7.8% of the GDP and 6.7% of the total employment, creating close to 700,000 jobs. The banking sector needs to create special credit facilities for the tourism sector to tap its economic potential. Tourism received only 5% of the total loan portfolio that the Uganda Development Bank provided in the preceding year, despite its high significance in the economy.
I brought up this case of UDB because when I was looking at their annual report, there was a breakdown to lending. They lent 34% to agriculture, they lent 30% to agro-processing, they lent 23% to manufacturing, they lent 5%. You know, I can't even say it loudly. 5% to tourism and hospitality, 3% to infrastructure, human capital, 2%, 3% to others. Honestly, you can see where we are. We need something better than 5%.
The issue of patient capital has come out quite importantly. Commercial banks are not structured to provide long-term funding. They typically offer funding between 5 and 7 years. If you're looking for patient and flexible capital, the development banks come in handy. UDB is a very good example. They are providing long-term funding. It's patient, it's flexible, it's got more competitive interest rates. There are many other development banks that we can use in the region. There is TDB, there is Afri-Exim Bank. So borrowers who are embarking on capital expenditures that require more patient and flexible capital and lendings will have to look to development finance that gives you that flexibility and patience to allow you grow your business to a level that does not necessarily squeeze you from an interest rate perspective.
According to the data from the Uganda Tourism Board, at least 70% of the workforce in the tourism lost their jobs during the COVID-19 pandemic. 91.8% of the tourism enterprises downsized due to financial hit by June 2022. 75.2% of the hotel bookings were cancelled. A total of Uganda shillings 1.19 trillion was lost, hence a need to financially revitalize the sector. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now moving forward, we turn to beekeeping. As people operating on small-scale pieces of land have been encouraged to engage in the beekeeping business. Beekeeping itself can be an attractive additional source of income for the youth, as starting up a beekeeping business is typically low investment and does not require much capital or land, and at the same time costs to benefits ratio is relatively beneficial. Let's get the report.
Approximately 1.2 million people are involved in the apiculture sector in Uganda. Besides honey, the sector produces propolis, beeswax and bee venom for cosmetic, medicinal, food and other purposes. These products are mostly produced for the internal market and are largely informal export, predominantly to the neighboring countries of Kenya, Democratic Republic of Congo and the South Sudan. Much of it finds its way onto the informal market or cross-border trade through traders that buy directly. Anyone can start a beekeeping business due to the less costs incurred when in the initial stages of investment. One can start up with just 5 hives weighing 8 kilograms, each at 120 shillings.
Our hives, one hive is 120. They call them KTB, Kenya Top Bar. It is a KTB one, it is 120. So if they are 5, they are almost 600 and something. So that those hives, each hive you get 8 kilograms each hive. And when we are buying that honey, combo honey, when it is white honey and sealed, it is 10,000. You see, you have 8,000 in your one hive. So when you are starting, even if you start from the small land, pora you grow. That one hive can, 2 hives can buy the 16 kilogram can buy 1 hive. So as you are harvesting, you can buy also the 4 hives to add on your current you have. Some they start with the local hives, depends on the capital they have, but KTB is the most one, the good one hive. So when you are starting, you start with a small land, and we most encourage the women. You know, the women these days, they are fighting with their husbands to look for food. You find the woman who wants some to support herself. So when you have the small land at home, a small garden, you can also add the hive, the little one, and the process is not too much big, because if you have hives, no need of going, you see, I'm going to dig, you just, you buy, you make it appear for you, and you put there. After sometimes you go and check, we harvest for you, we train how to harvest, and that's the process.
She adds that the cost of honeybees can vary depending on the amount invested in. The business can also be done at small-scale piece of land and still result into abnormal profit.
When you are investing, you have invested a little money, but when you are selling that honey, you get a lot of money. Imagine if 1 kilo is 10, you are getting in one hive 8 kilograms, that is 80. You have not, you have invested only the hive, you have bought the hive. So when you are selling, and those farmers, they think that when they are harvesting, they think that they are going to remove, they are going to dig, whatever, like how, it is not like it is not like cows, it is not like beans, you start buying a medicine, the bees doesn't want a medicine, just you put there, the money you get, it is your profit. Yeah.
Beekeeping and other positions along the apiculture value chain require preconditions for new entrants to find viable employment opportunities. Beekeeping does not require much capital investment to begin, but it does require some capital, access to land, skills, and assets to become commercially viable. Winnie Nakauchi, Smart 24 TV.
All right, now we turn away from Uganda a little while as we head to South Sudan, as the business community in South Sudan has asked their Ugandan counterparts in the country to undertake macro investment projects and leave the petty opportunities to the locals. This will help restore trade, order, and harmony as Uganda seeks to maximize opportunities in a major trade partnership market. Andrew Barije and Issa Babu attended the South Sudanese conference, and here is the report.
Juba City Mayor Stephen Wani Michael made the call at the closing of the 3-day business conference organized by the Embassy of South Sudan in Uganda and the Ugandan Embassy in South Sudan.
Brothers and sisters from Uganda, I think, is presenting a bigger or a highest population in Juba City. So that is to say, in the field of business, there are really many, but they are making only a petty kind of businesses that we in the city, we are really appealing, or we are advising that let our brothers, the Ugandans, provide us with a quality businesses, and also businesses that can accommodate and can also respond to the issue and employment within the city.
This claim was one of the major complaints raised by the business community in Juba in the discussion to eliminate trade barriers and allow the two nations to grow their markets. It was tough for PSFU Stephen Asimwe, who put up a spirited defense seeking reconciliation and better understanding between the two neighbors with an indelible mark of cooperation.
Of this visit was to cement socio-economic ties between our countries. Those ties are very critical because, one, we are immediate neighbors. Two, we are members of the East African community. Three, we have now joined something called the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which basically spells out the need to remove trade barriers, to have one common currency as we are going towards 2025 at the East African community. As you've heard in many of the presentations, we are still dealing in primary goods and commodities and services. We are major importers, both of our countries, of foreign goods from Europe, from Asia, and yet if we worked together, we can actually improve ties.
His Excellency Simon Duku Michael is the ambassador of South Sudan to Uganda. He says as well as Ugandans freely identify themselves in Juba and operate business, the South Sudanese in Kampala hide under local businessmen to transact businesses.
The South Sudanese doing business in Uganda, yes, right from Koboko, Ajumani, Moyo, Gulu, name it, where the South Sudanese, they are doing the same businesses the Ugandans are doing. And the one in Kampala especially, most of them have shops, restaurants, saloons. And one funny thing, the big South Sudanese businessmen in Uganda, they don't want to identify themselves as South Sudanese. They hide. And I know them. They front their Ugandan partners and they hide behind. And now you wonder, you think there are no South Sudanese. I know they are there. We know them. But they don't want to show themselves for fear of what I've told you, my colleague, during our introduction, the launching. They were told that your properties, if they identify you as South Sudanese, it will be grabbed by the government of Uganda. So they hide behind their friends, and then they're there. Big businessmen, others are doing piggery, and some are in real estate, but they hide.
With such efforts bringing together the private and public sectors of both countries, Uganda is set to export more to South Sudan that now provides a sizable market to agriculture produce. The Salva Kiir administration is equally broadening inroads to the Ugandan market to check the balance of trade between the two neighbors. Brigadier Ronnie Balia is at the helm of harmonizing relations to bolster trade. He was held throughout the conference as the main man behind the candid discussion. The joint business forum was coordinated by the government of South Sudan and the Embassy of the Republic of Uganda in South Sudan in partnership with the Private Sector Foundation, Uganda.
What will be discussed in this forum, the joint business forum, the observations made, the recommendations made will go to the Joint Permanent Commission meeting. Joint Permanent Commission meeting was last held in 2012, 10 years ago in Kampala. It is called JPC. This JPC is attended by the ministers, the permanent secretaries, technical officials from the various ministries.
Andrew Barije, Babu Issa, Smart 24.
All right, now the Uganda National Bureau of Standards has developed a 3-tier process that will aid the fight against substandard products. This is to emphasize on sensitization and enforcement activity to recreate momentum for the compliance and reduce on substandard products in the sector. The Uganda National Bureau of Standards Acting Executive Director David Livingstone Ibiru called for self-regulation in the sector and capacity building of consumers to ensure that they play a part in quality enforcement.
Country, our manufacturers and service providers should begin to voluntarily comply with quality standards, because implementation of quality standards now has no option as we open markets, export markets, but particularly also as we promote consumption of safe products in the country. We need to make sure that those involved in production, distribution or any value chain must be concerned with the issue of the safety and the quality of products they are putting on the market. I gave them the example of the developed countries where the onus is on the manufacturer and traders or service providers to make sure that what they actually produce and trade meet the requirements of the standard. And I was telling them that it is high time all of us try to pass that message to our manufacturers, to our traders, to our business people, to make sure that they appreciate that they need standards more than the regulators, and therefore we are there to support them to comply with that standard other than actually forcing them to implement the standard. Because without quality standards, you are not going to go to any market. We shared with them the unethical practices, the issue of integrity of some of these people involved in the value chain, in production, manufacturing, distribution, retail of these products, that they actually deliberately compromise the quality of the products and sell them to the unknowing buyers. And we are saying that as part of mindset change, awareness, patriotism, we want to make sure that if you are selling a product for money, you must also be mindful of the safety and the health of your customer, because they want value for money. So we are trying to encourage all those involved in selling products, manufacturing, that please manufacture products as per the specification of the standards, and the consumers are willing to pay that extra money for a quality and safe product. Of course, there was an issue of the integrity of the quality mark. How does somebody know that the quality mark that UNBS has issued to a product is actually genuine? So we are going to integrate technology for trace and track of this quality mark, so that consumers will be able to actually verify this using their smartphone. You will be able to see all the certification details of this product. That is aimed at making it very difficult for anybody to purport to forge the UNBS quality mark and put it on the product. That will be addressed, and already the implementation is underway.
All right, now away from that, we head to Nasser Road. I think this is a name that sounds very familiar to everybody. Today, we take a look at one of the businesses that employs thousands of youth regardless of their academic backgrounds. Most people consider Nasser Road a university of a sort that deals in different activities involved in the process of production. Just like any other business, due to the ongoing economic instability in the country, they too have faced some challenges, as Nabionga Monica reports.
Rogers is one of the few who are still working at Nasser Road as an operator of the cutting machine involved in producing books. He narrates how he earns from this business.
We pay you according to your work. For example, if I cut like about 100 books, that is equivalent to 5,000. Each book I charge 50 shillings. If I cut 1,000, that's 50,000. The more you work, the more you earn. On a good day, I can cut like 5,000 books. That's on a very busy day. There is not really much qualification needed. As long as you can learn, whether you went to school or you didn't go to school, you can still learn.
As a result of the ongoing economic instability, most people were laid off from jobs because their employees couldn't sustain them. We used to employ 5 to 6 boys, but I laid them off because our business is seasonal. When children go back to school, then we don't have business. The business people have pledged for President to intervene in the skyrocketing fuel prices. Papers are too expensive. Also the issue of taxes. Some are saying that it is caused by fuel prices. We have a single supplier of papers who is an Indian. We buy them at 190,000 shillings a carton, and the yields are little because I get a few books from there. Then, not only that, I have to add on boards, of which a board goes for 35,000, plus marble, which is also expensive. So we pledge for President Museveni to intervene, at least maybe when he says something, the prices may go down. Monica Nabyonga, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now we switch off to one of the favorites dishes, I should say, chicken business. The versatility of chicken has made it one of the most sought-after snacks in Uganda, with a per capita consumption of 1.62 kilograms. Chicken is prepared and enjoyed in different forms, including fried, grilled, crunchy, and the recent rolling. However, the sector has been drastically affected by the high cost of fuel prices. Mary Nachiganda has the report.
The prices of fuel affected everything, but we had to reduce on the costs.
Richard, a manager at Hazard Rolling Chicken, speaks to us about how he is trying to make a few profits in their business despite the economic situation in the country.
So far, despite of the economic crisis in the economy, we are still moving on well by God's grace. And God's grace, but also using some economic means to survive in the economy.
The situation has forced them to engage both their suppliers and human resource to ensure mutual benefits on all sides.
To sit down with our suppliers of chicken, because their prices were high, we had to negotiate to see that maybe they give us at somehow a fair price, which does not affect them and does not affect us. So, and not only that, we also had to sit down with our workers and we reduce on the salary. So that not to have high expenditures when we have less income. So many employees, we have like 6 to 8, because as you see the economic situation, we can't accommodate a very big number of workers. Buy chicken from our suppliers at 10,000, but these days we get it at 15, sometimes 18,000. And you find that people need the packagings.
Inevitably, the restaurants had to increase the prices of chicken.
We had to increase to 26, not because of the supply that is high of chicken, but just because we had to include for packagings.
He also told Smart 24 about the breeds of chicken they use and how critical they are at health standard procedures.
They take broilers of good quality. We have our suppliers who can come to your farm. They know the quality that we want. Remember, we don't just get chicken from any farmer. We have our suppliers. They know the kilograms we need, and they not only that, to make our chicken halal. After getting it from farmers, they take it to the city abattoir. Then to make sure, because we serve a mixed community of integrity people, religious people, so we have to serve halal and healthy things.
Chicken consumption is not limited to age and gender, as most African myths explain. Richard explains to us
that maybe it is ladies who love the chicken, but I've also learned it from here, that people, even men, love chicken. Mostly couples, we normally have couples here that come in, but mostly who enjoy chicken are men. So even men, or even people with diabetes. So our chicken, by the way, can help even in health issues. Even people who are diabetic can have this chicken. People who don't take salt can have this chicken. So it serves every community of persons.
He concludes by advising young entrepreneurs on what to consider before venturing into the food business.
To advise someone who may need to start up a business of this kind, that one, you have to first know, is this your calling? You know, there are some people who start businesses just by copying. But you ask yourself, is this my calling? Do I love this? Is my calling in food